50 years ago, I was a college student with a 2S student deferment. This meant that I was not immediately eligible for a military draft into the Vietnam War. However, my status, as well as that of thousands of my fellow citizens, was about to be reshaped. On December 1st, 1969, I was sitting in a college night class, a 3-hour German class to be exact. During those 3 hours of anticipation, a draft lottery was drawn by birth dates, one by one, for every American male of fighting age. Everyone's immediate future was now on the line. If their draft number was a low number, under perhaps 150, they were likely headed off to Vietnam. After class ended, I looked on a list that had been posted on the wall in the corridor. I was number 245. I was not going to be drafted this year or any other year. Consequently, it was more than 30 years later when I first landed in Ho Chi Minh City. I had known it as Saigon. In time, I would venture toward My Lai. The village of My Lai is located not far from the China Sea, south of Da Nang by an hour or two, depending on road conditions. We drove through a flood zone, so it took us far longer. It was a warm, humid, rainy day as I neared the memorial grounds. Some of the housing along the route appeared to be vacant. My guides, a young Vietnamese man and his girlfriend, were able to assist me with the language barrier. They pointed out some of the background information for my study. This road, for instance, was the escape route of the only surviving member of the village. Once I was on the grounds, I could see that it was set up as a memorial garden for those 170 villagers killed during the U.S. Army maneuver. In 1968, My Lai and Son Mi were considered Viet Cong strongholds, according to all available Army intelligence gathering. The orders were to enter the village and neutralize all Viet Cong soldiers in the immediate area. A daybreak raid was planned and put into action. Instead of finding a fighting force of Viet Cong, the soldiers found villagers preparing rice for breakfast. The troops were ordered to take all villagers to a ditch near the village. It was here that bodies were tossed into the ditch, and women, old men, and children were executed. A stark reminder of the results of the raid are posted for visitors to ponder. The adjoining museum and the monument reflect the feelings of the Vietnamese people. The museum was definitely not slanted toward the American perspective. Quite the opposite, in fact. There were a few American war veterans quietly walking the grounds or silently standing in the rain. Some of them appeared to be in a state of emotional upheaval as they sought to come to grips with this event. I saw tears being shed by some grizzled, hardened veterans. After we left the grounds, I was introduced to the sole remaining survivor of the massacre. He ran a little restaurant near the site. My guides translated my questions for him into Vietnamese. He told me his tale as I ate lunch in his cafe. I, too, against every attempt to do otherwise, broke into tears of sorrow. On my way out of town, I came across a group of boys heading home after a day's worth of study. I silently wondered if they knew the whole story and to what degree they were impacted by their community's infamous history. These boys appeared to view me as a rather strange oddity, but not as the enemy. Embedded in the Vietnamese culture is a rather extraordinary capacity for forgiveness.